Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. Today we are cooking one of my favourites, which I haven't cooked for ages, and then I've cooked it a couple of times. It is called veal osso bucco. I love making this dish because most of the times it's pretty economical because it's just basically osso bucco and some veggies. This time, because I got extra pieces, it has worked out a bit more expensive. But as I say, this is something that I've loved for a long time. I used to sometimes, if I'd go out with my parents back in the days, this was one of the things that if it was on the menu, I'd actually like to have it because, as I say, I don't always cook it. And then I used to try and cook it at least once or twice a year. Predominantly, I will always do this one in the slow cooker. However, with this one, it is a stovetop version, and one of the fantastic inventions that my mama had was the good old electric frying pan. I think we had three at one stage. Now I've got two. One is a more like a square, but it's very deep, and then I've got the long one, which is an oblong one, which is fantastic. And I thought, well, because the osso buco is fairly big, it does all fit in my slow cooker, but because of the time, I'm not going to get to eat this today if I did it in the slow cooker. So therefore, I'm going to use the electric frying pan. So if you don't have an electric frying pan, don't stress, do it on the stove top, but try and get yourself a fairly big frying pan or even just a saucepan. Like you can layer them on top of each other. You will also need a pair of tongs, a plate. That's just because we're going to brown the osso buco first. So we will be lifting the pieces out of the whatever we're cooking them in. And you will need a stirring spoon. So not handy pink spatula, otherwise it will melt. Anyway, if you come on in, I'm going to talk you through the rest of it. Let's go. Okay, so this is the electric frying pan, the oval version. As I say, we have two. There was another one at one stage. I don't know if that ended up just dying. These things last for ever and a day. Sometimes I don't like using them because I think they use more power than a normal oven top would. But given the size of the dish that I'm making, I'm just going to do it anyway. It's just a matter of working out the setting with it. This one's got, I can't even read that. I think that goes up to about 12 or something. So I'll just have to regulate it because the temperatures are very similar to the top of the stove, but you've got more variations. My stove top goes from 1 to 6, 6 being obviously high, 1 being low, and 3 being medium. So anyway, that will be worked out at the end. So first of all, you need 8 pieces of veal osso buco. I asked my butcher for small to medium ones. So I've got 8 of them in that bag there. They are very heavy. We also need half a cup of plain flour. Haven't measured that out yet, but that's easy enough. That's just over the back there. Also, we are going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Haven't measured that one out yet either. Also, 2/3 of a cup of white wine. That is here. 1 small carrot, which I've chopped up. 1 small onion. It wasn't a very small one. I always ask for a small onion and I get a medium one. That's chopped up. 1 celery stalk. They were in the freezer. That's chopped up as well. 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. These are from my good friend who dried out some oregano. I used this a while ago and it was very yum. So that's good. I get to use more of John's oregano there. 2 cans of chopped tomatoes. I haven't opened them yet, but they're easy enough. 1.5 cups of beef stock. Just made it up from the stock powder. So normally 1 cup of water is 1 teaspoon of stock. So therefore 1.5 cups is 1.5 teaspoons. So that's that one there. We also need 3 cups of steamed rice, which we're making from 1 cup of raw. So I'm going to use that one in the microwave nearer the time, using the microwave rice cooker that I've got. You can do it on the stove top, but it takes a bit longer. For the top, we're making a thing called gremolata, which is just basically a sprinkle for the top, which is made from 1/2 cup of finely chopped flat leaf parsley. I thought I had heaps of flat leaf parsley in the freezer, and that was an epic fail because that's all I got left. So I'm just using that. It's fine. I've also got a clove of garlic, which I've chopped up. That's not that one, by the way. That is, oh, it's over the back. And the finely grated rind of 1 lemon. So those 3 ingredients together are what you sprinkle on the top. It's just a garnish. So if you don't want to use that, you don't have to. But I find that the parsley, garlic, and the lemon on the top gives it a nice flavouring at the end. All right, so anyway, now that you know what we need, it is really straightforward. There's literally 3 steps to making this, and possibly the hardest step is going to be dusting the veal. That's not a very hard step either, by the way. All right, so let's kick straight into it. So first of all, you are going to want a plate. So I just use one of these tin plates that I've got. Pop 1/2 cup of flour on it. Now I am a bit squashed here with everything. So just going to, I think I'll plug in the frying pan first and give it a spray. I like to spray things mainly because that way when I go to clean it, it's so much easier. So I'm going to plug that in first. Turn it on. I won't turn it on at the wall because it is, I just turned it on and it came on. I'm going to set the lid over on the stove top because I don't want to break it. If I break it, I'm in trouble. I've got no lid to put back on it. So let's get our cooking spray so that we've done that part. Give it a spray, it'll thank me later. Now, the good thing about this one is it's got the silicone coating on it, so it should be fairly straightforward to clean it anyway. Okay, so on our tin plate, we want 1/2 cup of flour. Now, sometimes they actually get you to season the flour, and I won't be surprised if that's not the case. Just veal with flour. No, it doesn't tell us that. Never mind. All right. So what we're going to do is get our oil into the pan. So we want 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then get it turned on. So that as we dust the veal, we can get it straight in. So just turn it on at the wall. Now, when I use this, I've got to work out what the temperatures are. So so that's turned it off. Okay, so we're on 1. So we'll put it on, it goes to 10. So I'm going to put it on 5, which is obviously going to be halfway. Let's move these out of the way for the moment. I have a very small kitchen bench. You know what? I can still cook in here. That's fine. All right. So onto here. One at a time with the veal. If you can, try and get all the pieces the same size. And when you dust it, just make sure that you shake off the excess. And then slide it through the oil. There we go. We can hear that sizzle. Now the good thing about Osso bucco is it literally, when it's done, it just falls off the bone, and you will see a nice big bone in the middle of it. Go. So if I didn't write it on our thing, this actually serves 4. So that's very important that you know that. It does freeze very well. I have frozen this a couple of times. There's no problem freezing it at all. Okay, we're halfway. 4. 5. Can't even pick them up. Some of them are a bit smaller. So when you go to dish it up, they should hopefully still be on the bone. So it's 2 pieces each. 2 more to go. Oh, see, I've got huge pieces and then I've got small pieces. What they do is they actually cut it off the bone, or cut it with their amazing circular story things that they use at the butcher. And so obviously you are going to get some bigger pieces and some smaller pieces. And our last one. This is just a baby piece. Yeah. Oh wow. Now with the extra flour, we'll put it in at the end to thicken it maybe. Okay. There's that one. All right. Let's set that flour aside for later. Get rid of the bag with the gross bits in it. Okay. Wash your hands. Or your fingertips, I should say. Okay. So let's go. Come in and have a little look at what's going on here, please. Okay, so as you can see, we're cooking away here. We're just browning them. What we're going to do next is actually flip them over, brown the other side. So we're not cooking them, we're just browning them. So grab your tongs and get ready to flip them over. Very carefully with some of them. There we go, so they should be a nice browny colour. Obviously not that one, because that's only just gone in last of all. But see why I say you need a big cooking frying pan thing, because they are huge, most of them. There we go. It didn't want to flip and then it was fine. Okay, so give those a few minutes on the other side and then we're going to take them out and then we're just going to get the rest of the stuff in. So while we're here, I'm going to set aside the rice, which we don't need till later, the lemon, the parsley and the garlic. because everything else is going in very soon. So when they start to look like this, we're going to take them out. So let's go. Okay, so now that they're out, we're looking at an empty frying pan. Well, technically empty. And we are going to add the wine. This will help deglaze the pan. Then we are going to add carrot, onion, and celery. So all our veggies. Yum. Now there have been many different variations for this recipe, but you'll find that always the general method is the same, and obviously the ingredients are very similar. This is the first time I've ever had a recipe for this one to be served with rice, because normally, I think I normally serve it with mashed potato, or just as it is. Anyway, so first time for everything, as they say. Okay, so once this is in, going to add our oregano as well, which was 2 teaspoons. Yep. Beautiful. Lovely. All right, I'm going to put that out of the way because we're filled up here anyway. Give that a stir. Okay. Bring to the boil and then reduce heat to medium. Well, we sort of are on medium at 5. So we'll leave it at this. Okay. We're going to put the meat back in. So grab the meat back and place it on top of all our veggies. Beautiful. Now, I wouldn't normally do this, but I am going to sprinkle the rest of the flour on top. Sort of would have been there anyway if it had stuck to the veal. So I feel like we need that in there because we're not going to have a very thick sauce otherwise. Okay, once we've got those in, we're going to add the tomatoes and then the stock. So what I like to do is put your tomatoes in. Put them over the top. Leave your cans close by because we're going to deglaze them with the stock. Take those tops of the cans off. And grab our stock. Put about half of it in each one and just swirl it. And then over the top. Beautiful. And repeat with the second can and the rest of the stock. Fantastic. Look at us go. All right. So that should come back up to the boil. And what we want to do is we can season it with some salt and pepper, and then we're going to put it onto a low temperature, and we're going to cook it for about 1.5 to 2 hours. But every 30 minutes, what we want to do is actually turn the veal over. So I'm just going to grab salt and pepper because they weren't listed in my ingredients list. We're simmering away beautifully. I like a lot of pepper, just a bit of salt. Just a bit of salt. So to turn this one down to a low temperature, I'm going to put it onto, I'll try it at 2. Now I personally feel like this is more effective than my stovetop, and I'd be right too. So with the lid on this one, I want it open. I don't know if that works or not. Anyway, I'm going to pop the lid on. Set my timer for 30 minutes, and I'll check back in with you then, and we'll flip them over. Okay, so after 30 minutes, we're going to lift the lid off, see how we're looking, and just grab those tongs and flip them all over. Then pop your timer on because we're going to come back and do this again in another 30 minutes. Looking good. Okay, so after 2 hours, your meat should be tender. Well, 1.5 to 2 hours. I've given mine 2 hours, and I just kept turning it over every half an hour. So what you need to do now is turn it onto a very low heat. That way it will stay warm. And we're going to do our rice. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I have this basically called a rice cooker, and it's for cooking rice in the microwave. The other way to do it is cook it on the stovetop. Either way, you're using what they call the absorption method, which is basically just you keep cooking it until all the liquid is gone and your rice is fluffy and it's cooked, it's soft. So cover it with enough water just to cover it over the top. Try and use cold water. You don't want hot water. In the microwave, you want to give it 5 minutes. So this is going to be a little bit awkward. See how we go. Don't need a lid on it. I'm not going to get that in there. I've got to move my chopping board. Okay. My chopping board doesn't move unless I move it. So, all right, move that out of my way. Okay. That way, I can slide that over a bit more, and I can put that in. Okay, perfect. So 5 minutes on high. That should be fine. We'll move that back over. Now, to make the gremolata, it is just literally, as mentioned in the beginning, your chopped garlic, your rind of the lemon, just put them all into the one bowl, and the parsley. I don't have enough, but it's going to do the job because that's all I've got. Got to cut it up, finely chop it. Mine's been in the freezer, so it's not very good, but it's going to give it that parsley taste, which is fine. So I'm just going to actually tear it up with my hands, just put it on top, and then we're just going to get a spoon and just stir it all about. So once our rice is ready, we're ready to dish up. Okay, so your gremolata will look something like that. So you will see a combination of parsley, garlic, and lemon rind. You can get fresh parsley, and use a lot more than I used, which is half a cup of it finely chopped. So you measure out your half a cup of flat leaf parsley leaves, and then you chop it up, not half a cup once it's chopped, because that would be a huge amount. I'm just going to turn the frying pan off at the wall and on the unit, and just keep it out of the way so that we can keep going with our rice. So I normally give it 5 minutes, and then I'll get a fork and try and fluff it up, and then I give it a couple more minutes, and then a couple more minutes, and it varies. I don't normally cook this much rice, but because this is going to serve 4, and in my case some in the freezer, it will be good for me because that's a full meal with the rice, obviously. So 5 minutes is up. It looks like this. I can't see any water, but that's definitely not cooked, so I'm going to give it just a minute and we'll see what it looks like then. After that minute, grab a spoon and just try a little bit. It still tastes firm and there's no water left in it. So rather than put more water in and have to start again, I'm going to put the lid on and give it another minute. I don't want it to dry out, but I don't want to add more water, therefore making it have to cook for longer. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. So we're ready to dish up. I've got to leave mine a little bit firm because when I warm it up, it's still technically cooking. Move that back over. So to dish up, you just quite simply want a spoon of rice on the plate, on each one. 2 pieces of Osso bucco. I would recommend a large piece and a small piece in this case. And then just the liquid over the top. So we grab our tongs, select out our pieces of Osso bucco. Depends on how hungry you are or whatever. But yeah. Ow, that was hot. Don't let it flick you because it's bloody hot. Ow, it did it twice. Evil. Evil Osso bucco. Grab a better pair of tongs than I have, obviously. So grab your 2 pieces, pop them on your plate, on top of your rice, and then grab the spoon that you had from your rice or another spoon and just pop the liquid over the top. And don't forget all the veggies are on the bottom, so try and get some of them as well. All right, over to your gremolata. Sprinkle that on top. All right. Thank you for watching this episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. This has been veal osso bucco. Enjoy, and I'll catch you on the next adventure. Bye.